It'll go down.
Okay, it's 2:03, January 3rd, 2023. We're gonna call this meeting to order. Got the quorum. We have any guests want to speak? Open it to the public. Okay, we can close the public. Nobody's set up to speak. Got item number 1, deliberate and consider action on the following items. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for budget amendment for solid waste due to imminent threat to public health and safety. So basically what I'm asking is, we're asking for not to exceed $200,000 of the ARPA funds. We have 79,000 that was already approved that wasn't spent in 2022. So I'm asking for, not to exceed the 121,000, not to exceed the 200,000. And asking for approval for job position for solid waste manager. And solid waste will be housed in the old precinct 2 barn. I talked to Ben Hancock Realty and there was no interest, so I pulled it out of the sale. So we'll base the solid waste out of the old precinct 2 barn. And open it up for discussion.
Judge, you're asking for 200 or for 121?
Well, asking for 200, not to exceed 200,000. What I'm asking is we already got 79,000 that was not spent previously. That was allowed for payroll.
So you want 121 out of all?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you know what solid waste is costing you a year?
That's what we want to do is fund it for 4 months, figure out, kind of get a running total of what it's going to cost, and then make the plan for, whether we have to charge or what we got to do to continue providing solid waste for Newton County.
Right now it's about 271. You'll end the year with about 271. 28, call it 280. Yeah, we figured we roughly what it feels about 270, 280.
That's kind of what we were thinking.
I mean, we had it budgeted for 400 and we knew that wasn't, we budgeted for 400, but we knew that we wasn't going to get to 400.
Okay.
So it's about, we've run the numbers on it a while ago. We're lacking a few bills on it. It's about 271 what we come up with a while ago. And I know there'll be a few more filter in.
Yes.
Waste management will be a few more and stuff like that. Now, we've never paid anybody to do solid waste.
I know, but with it's always been one of the commissioners that's taken it over.
I agree.
So,
That's fine. I just don't think right now is the time with us not going into the brand new year with the budget that we've got in front of us that's tied anyway, not unless there is a gob of money out there somewhere that we don't know nothing about. I don't know why you'd want to carry that, put another employee on us and another debt on us to where it's been doing okay right now. I mean, we've been taking care of it as it is.
but
I mean, I think I would wait until we figured out how we was going to handle it first.
without it in the budget for 2023,
Right.
there's no way we can pay the solid waste.
I understand that, and we all had that discussion at the end of the year about what we was gonna do. Was there a plan if nobody come back with us with a proposal?
So what I'm proposing is solid waste, this employee reports to the judge's office, and instead of the precincts, I'm expecting the precincts to keep up the roads, as far as maintenance. Most of the guys can do their own maintenance, except on the vehicles and stuff. But everything pretty well will be handled out of the judge's office, except the road maintenance.
Gonna have to go buy all new equipment and everything for the solid waste to run on it. It doesn't have anything. Me and Prentice took care of it before I got here, and then I've been taking care of it from there with a little bit of help with the guys. I think we need to run it for a couple months as it is until we figure it out. And not throw another person in on, and I'm just one guy.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that this is the time to add any more to our payroll that we already have been rubbing our head trying to figure out anyway. It's working fine as it is. It doesn't have a problem the way it is.
Well, something was wrong, everybody wanted to get rid of it.
No, we didn't want to get rid of it. We was trying to hunt a way to cut the money, try to do something about our budget and try to figure out what we could do with it or we couldn't do with it. There was never discussion to do away with the solid waste. We was hunting an option out there, what everybody else was doing in solid waste.
Well,
I mean, we never said we were gonna do away with solid waste.
okay, but I feel like running it through it's already coming out of pretty well general funds. We'll just go ahead and run it from the judge's office and see what we could do.
So I have a question for the judge. So you're asking the court to hire somebody?
I'm asking the court for approval to hire someone.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
And approval for the ARPA money.
Right. So is your thoughts that this person you're gonna hire is gonna also be part of the workforce and?
Yes, and part of his job duties will be, assisting in times of emergency, even if they stay on. They've agreed, I want to post a job for, running for 4 months, and see what it's gonna cost. But if it continues on, I'd like this person to, we don't have the money for emergency management. I'm gonna be handling emergency management. So I would like this person to assist me with emergency management. Just assist me in different areas.
If you don't mind, in court, the way that the agenda is worded today is only for a budget amendment for solid waste. So creating positions, anything like that isn't going to be able to be considered today. Only a budget amendment. If you're planning on moving funds from one fund to another, that would be the only kind of action you'd be able to take based on the way the agenda is posted.
So what I'm asking is, budget amendments to approve an additional $121,000 out of the ARPA funds to keep solid waste going.
And on future ones, you would have an approval for an expenditure of ARPA funds is the way that the kind of the protocol that's set up with Mr. Taylor and.
Yes,
Once they
I
have
would,
an item for approval of expenditure of ARPA funds,
yes,
item two.
we've got, Mark Traveler's approval on it, that this can be used out of the ARPA.
Just that's, historically, that's how it's been done is where it's its own agenda items for record keeping purposes that the court's approving ARPA funds. That's just the procedure that was set up was to approve ARPA funds. And so the way that it reads, I didn't know if it was going to be moving money from another department or general fund or, budget amendment would mean like just moving it around, but moving it from ARPA would have just in the future been something more explicit on it.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that it's our first, it's a rough draft.
Yeah, it's a rough.
But, I just want to make sure we're keeping with what is actually on the agenda item and doing what we put
Yes.
this out about.
Thank you.
So, just watching out for y'all.
So I guess, and since you're watching out for us, watch out for me. So I'm trying to understand the payroll in precinct 4. And Ginger's trying to help me. I appreciate that. But what I'm seeing is I have a full-time employee that's paid for by you. And they don't
Work
work.
half and half, half and half.
So you said maintenance, and that's not me. 10, that's not me.
There's nothing for that acre thing,
Half and half.
there's nothing to do with 024, which is,
No, I'm not paying anything on one of my employees.
Okay.
So
Well, he's there, how many, he's there for 3 days?
5 days a week.
Okay, that's reasonable.
So I think that this is maybe somewhat outside of what you're asking for, but we're talking here about solid waste and what's going on there, but I think it points to the fact that we may not understand all of the costs because it looks like from what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, precinct 4 has a full-time employee that you get to use, and I use you being a general fund, you get to use 3 days a week for solid waste. Precinct 4 gets him for 2 days a week at no cost. I don't know if that's going on in other precincts or not, but I think there's some costs there that aren't in solid waste, aren't fully recognized. And I think the ideal of someone that, anyways, let me get back. So anyways, I think there's some costs there that aren't fully recognized. And it's not anybody's fault, but I think somebody needs to look into it. This morning in precinct 4, we didn't have anybody. Sunday, we didn't have anybody there. Yesterday, we actually had a mess there. It was a lot to clean up and what have you. So, I just don't know how all that works right now. So I'm just telling you what we had. It was an emergency, at least in my eyes. It was a bad situation. It's been remedied since. It's nobody's fault. I mean, not knowing that, Commissioner Farmby sends somebody down there to do it. We just fast put it out there to clean it up.
And we appreciate that.
Well, that's, it's in precinct 4, so. But,
It has a solid waste division that takes care of it.
right,
To take that load off of the commissioners.
yeah. And
Y'all
I think,
got more things to do. Y'all got a busy schedule also.
and I think with the very point that you're making, doing the things that we talked about, we shouldn't have talked about, it's probably the right thing to do. So, we gotta have solid waste. So I'm gonna make the motion to approve the request for the additional funding from ARPA for $121,000. Be moved to solid waste, and then however the judge sets up the next meeting with support from the legal counsel, we can discuss those other items.
How much money you got there, Ginger? 79 that you already got?
what I,
Well, you got 100,000 left over out of it anyway.
what I've got.
Right, Sherry?
For Mark, and I think Sherry.
It just shows in the book. We have not transferred that over from,
Yes, this is included in my 250,000 that I've moved.
so you've moved.
I
that
did
over to
not,
the general.
yes, I did not, this 79,472.06 is what's left of my 250,000. I thought I was gonna be going over, and I was gonna ask for another 30,000 to finish the year. I scratched that because Mark got with me and he said you have this much left. So that's already moved from distribution
All we need
to
to move is
general fund.
121,000
Yes.
from the,
And I think what Courtney's talking about for this 121 additional, we need that little thing
Yes, I
to
talked to
put on the
Mark
agenda.
earlier. Yes, I talked to Mark Taylor earlier. He said once it's approved in court,
You don't need it.
we need to send that to him. And the whole thing on that too is the reason why he said the budget amendment is because there's nothing in the budget. So we're gonna have to do the budget amendment for those lines, for those to be able to pay the employee.
So
Because right now, there's nothing in the budget.
the department still exists. There's just no money in
I
that.
understand. So that's why.
The budget amendment is gonna be moving money into that. It's not
Yes.
creating a position, not creating a department, just budget. But it's not just, so the the motion is not just for approving ARPA funds, because we're
Right.
talking about needing to move money from payroll or whatever else, like that's,
Right,
Already
we just need
there.
to fund those lines.
that money is gonna be moved to sanitation too. So there's two, your ARPA money coming down and her leftovers coming over, right?
Mine can be allocated for whatever the court decides to,
It's
So-
still,
that's 79.
So instead of approving 121,
Yes.
you're talking about a total of 200, 121 from ARPA, 79 from you. Or, 190, I guess, like that total amount. And so your motion was to get 141 from ARPA, but really you're wanting to move some from ARPA and some from.
So
general
Yes,
fund.
that's what I said, not to exceed 200,000.
yeah, and my motion
So
was
withdraw,
based on the premises that there were $79,000 remaining in 050. Is that correct?
No, it's that OT in general fund.
Okay, so it's not in the 50.
No, we're gonna move that money from 01 and then we'll move, 121,000 out of, 05,
Distribution.
the distribution to move it over.
so what are you gonna do with the $100,000 that's still left in?
We're still gonna have that. We're going to sit down.
I know, but what I'm saying is you're moving all this money and it already has $100,000 in it.
It's people. I mean, we have 121,000 per the payroll that Ginger gave me earlier for the employees. So we need the money that's gonna take to run that department.
It's already got a budget. It's already got 100,000. I know it don't, but it already has $100,000 in it. It wasn't spent.
And what we're gonna do is Ronnie's gonna sit down and he's gonna itemize the lines. With this added money, we should be able to fund.
Funded for a whole year.
Well, we'll see.
If you'll take the 100,000 plus the,
Because
plus
you
the
got
100 plus the 67, you're gonna be right at it. You're at 267. We're at 271 with it right now.
Cash in the bank at First Financial, green money that we have, not nothing to do with the budget.
Yeah.
Solid waste has 29,876.01. That's cash money at the time.
And see, what you're looking at was left over in the
Correct.
budget.
Right.
That's not actual money. Remember,
know.
we had this discussion last.
I know, but it was budgeted for 400,000.
We didn't.
And we didn't exceed the 400,000, which we knew we wouldn't. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
But we're, like I said, we're going to go in and with this extra money, he can go down and he can do a line item and fund out his solid waste.
So if I understand you correctly, I have to amend my motion to say I would
It's really, my job,
Of course.
To do what?
the solid waste.
Well, it comes out of the general fund.
I know, but I'm over it, right?
Well, that's why I'm, well, with it defunded, I'm pulling it back to the judge's office.
Completely out of 2023's budget.
So we'll just run it out of the judge's office.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong. So,
Judge, could I comment?
Sure.
This is Mark Taylor with Traylor and Associates. Specifically as it relates to the ARPA funds themselves and the ARPA request. There was money left over out of the payroll, but there again, these requests are for an amount up to a specific amount. We have had several requests that have not utilized the entire amount that was presented to Commissioners Court. As it pertains to our budget and our record keeping strictly for the ARPA funds, those funds that are left over beyond what is utilized in that request are put back in the ARPA pot for reallocation. So it would be my recommendation to Commissioners Court, if you're going to approve this, that you approve ARPA funds up to $200,000 or whatever the dollar amount is that you receive, not to exceed that amount. With the understanding that part of that will be funded with ARPA funds that was not utilized in previous requests. But to keep all the documentation straight, what I would recommend you do is for Commissioners Court and for documentation, you're approving a maximum not to exceed amount of ARPA funds to be used for the specific activity.
Agreed.
Yes.
I agree.
okay. So,
Thank you, Mark.
so the amendment to the proposal would be, I would like to make the motion that we approve the use of the moving of up to $200,000 from the ARPA funds to the 050 account to fund solid waste. And in addition, we approve the moving of $79,000 from the general funds.
200,000 total.
Total, so we're not gonna move the 79,000?
No.
Well, the 79,000.
You're gonna leave it in the general fund?
It includes that.
The 200,000.
Transferred in our books. I see exactly what Mark Taylor's saying. We just have to move it from general fund, that amount, and the other money is gonna come from the distribution account. But it will be a total of 200,000.
Not to
Because
exceed
it's
two.
all ARPA money.
Yeah.
It's all ARPA.
Oh, it's all, so the 79 was already ARPA
It's
fund?
already ARPA.
Okay.
That was left over.
So I make the motion, we move, or we approve the use of up to $200,000 of ARPA funds to fund the solid waste.
Also do the budget amendment for maybe for the 2023 budget. Because we have to do the budget amendments because there's nothing in the budget.
To build a solid waste fund, okay. So we gotta do that first, right? We would have to make a budget.
One action item on
There's
the.
only one item on the,
So, but I would say the way that your motion would read is that you move to have a budget amendment to approve using ARPA money into that line item and just combine it into one. So a budget amendment that includes moving ARPA money into the 50 line item.
So does 050 even exist in 2023 budget?
There, we just have no money.
Okay, well, that makes it, so it is.
Go in there and add money, add monies to the line. item.
Let me slaughter this motion one more time.
So move.
So I make the motion that we approve moving, using $200,000 of the ARPA funds to budget solid waste and make the required amendments to the 2023 budget to allow that to happen.
Makes perfect.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed 200,000.
not to exceed 200.
I second that.
All right. Motion has been seconded. And it is approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, I almost missed that. Thank you. All right, I move that we adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Second to adjourn.
Yes. Motion and a second.
Major motion.
Bubba made the motion, Danny second,
To adjourn, Judge Walker made it.
and I made the motion to adjourn.
Who second?
Seconded.
Who second? I second. Oh,
I'm sorry.
I said no, always.
I know better than that.
I'm always second on there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. All right, I'm sorry. Now we can adjourn.
Look at that.